Fenrir is back, and as you would expect, this wolf is up to no good as it got some very nasty tricks up its sleeve. And we also got some ridiculous new promos, which are pretty good. Vanguard! Hey Cardfighters, welcome back to another Cardfight update, and today we've got yet again a big video for Genesis, as today we've got the second VR of this set revealed to us, which is Fenrir and his own unique special archetype or playstyle that it brings back to Genesis. And yes, it is something that returns to Genesis because Fenrir is very similar to its old Fenrir playstyle that was a thing back in the Jira, which is something that I really liked playing at back in the day. So I'm very happy and very excited for these reviews, and I want to go into those as fast as possible as there are some really interesting things we can do. But on top of that, there was an older R revealed last weekend, which I wanted to save for this video, and that's also a card that we're going to discuss as it works in line with Fenrir's playstyle. And with these reveals, I'm happy that I did that because they have a really interesting combo that you can do. And on top of that, we also got some new promo cards revealed for some clans from the latest set for the Aqua set, and these promos are ridiculous. All the clans from that set, VBT 11, Storm of the Blue Cavalry, or Cavalry of the Bloom Storm, all those clans were pretty decent, but were lacking a certain card, or were missing a piece to their engine. These new promos are filling that missing piece. And it annoys me that they are doing this once again, as these promos are integral to their decks, and we don't know if we're ever going to get to that. But let's get into these cards before we start complaining about that aspect. So first off, let's talk about the new Genesis cards, which are really interesting. And first off, we have this R Grade 2, Unappeasable Bitter Gleipnir. And Unappeasable Bitter Gleipnir has two abilities. His first ability is Auto Vanguard Rearguard Circle. When placed, cost Counterblast 1, Soul Charge 1, choose a card from your soul and return it to your hand. So this card allows you to get any card what's in your soul directly to your hand. This is somewhat similar to what we've seen with Greed Shade for Grand Blue, as where Grand Blue can use Greed Shade to get any card in the drop zone, Gleipnir can utilize this to get any card from the soul to hand. The only issue is that this card isn't as cheap as Greed Shade as it costs you a Counterblast. Luckily, we do still get the soul charge, so we're not minusing on the soul amount, which can be impactful for Genesis, as you want to use your soul for other skills. But in terms of versatility, this is a really powerful skill, as it allows you to get any card that you might accidentally soul charge and you want to have that to your hand. And the fact that you can get them to your hand means you can either get some extra shield value if you hit a very high trigger, maybe in premium if you soul charge a heal trigger to get a G-guard, but you can also utilize this skill if certain cards have strong on-place from hand effect or just generic on-place effect, so you can utilize those things again. A good neat interaction, for example, is if you write this thing as a Vanguard, and the previous turn you ridden the Grade 3 Searcher Grade 1, you can write the Grade 1, get the top 5 Searcher for your Grade 3, the next turn write in Gleipnir, and use its ability to fetch that Grade 1 to then call to the Rigger Circle to have another shot at checking your top 5 for a Grade 3 unit. So there are some interesting interactions with this card, which allows you to up the consistency of your deck and have more access to your cards wherever they are. This is a really powerful skill which you shouldn't underestimate. Now, it also has a secondary effect, which is a nice addition on top of it, as it has Auto Rearguard Circle. When it attacks, costs Soul Blast 1, and this unit gets power plus 10k until the end of turn. So when it attacks, you can Soul Blast 1 to get it a 10k buff. This might not sound all that significant, it's just a 20k attacker or something, it's just a nice addition in general. But if you look at Premium, this is really interesting because of the fact that the power stays until the end of turn. Meaning if you could reuse this effect multiple times, the unit will become stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And the way how you can do that is of course with the stand trigger Taro. And you can loop that a little bit so you can keep attacking with this unit for every single Taro you can have in the soul. And every single time that you do that, this thing will become stronger with an extra 10k power pump. So there are some interesting things you can do with this card in Premium, and it's also really good as a generic consistency card. So I think this is a really nice addition for Genesis as a general card. Now in today's live stream, we got two main units for Genesis, and the first one I'm gonna tackle is this supporting Grade 3, which is Mythical Destroyer Beast Vanguard. And its abilities are Auto Vanguard Rearguard Circle, when placed, costs Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. If this unit is on the Vanguard circle, choose all of your opponent's rear guards instead of one rear guard. So either you Soul Blast 1 to retire something, or if it's your Vanguard, you Soul Blast 1 to retire the entire field. That's really powerful, but that's the only thing this card will do as a Vanguard unit. So yes, you can have an entire field nuke, but you're not doing anything else. It's not gonna gain power, it doesn't help your board, it doesn't help your engine whatsoever, it's just a field nuke. So it gives you at least something if you're in a situation where you need to ride this thing, at least there's that. Now, its secondary effect, that's where the ability really shines, is its auto rearguard circle. At the end of the battle, it attacked a Vanguard, put this unit into your soul, look at the 3 cards on the top of your deck, put 1 card from among them to the top of your deck, put 1 card from among them on the bottom of your deck, and put the rest into your soul. So, once this unit attacked, you can put it into your soul, which already gives you 1 extra soul, but you can then also manipulate the top cards of your deck. 1 trigger you can stack potentially, 1 useless card you can put on the bottom, and 1 interesting card that you might synergize with can you then therefore put into the soul. And if it's a unit that you really want in your soul, you can then combine that with a Gleipnir next turn to then fetch it to your hand. So Vanguard is a really excellent rearguard grade 3 as it gives you a potential snipe, but more importantly, it allows you to manipulate the top cards of your deck and set up your soul, as well as just getting more access to triggers and that kind of stuff. So a really good supporting card. But its real power shines once we look at Fenrir himself. So the new VR that is leading the pack is Mythical Beast Fenrir. And its abilities are act on Vanguard Circle, once per turn costs Soul Blast 1 or more cards. Search your deck for up to 1 card with the same grade as the sum of the grade of the card Soul Blasted for this cost. Reveal it and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck and call a card from your hand to the rearguard circle. So basically what this skill allows you to do, it allows you to Soul Blast any amount of cards. Then you can add their grade together to search out for a specific unit with the same grade. So if you Soul Blast a grade 3, you can search for a grade 3. If you Soul Blast a grade 2, you can search for a grade 2. If you Soul Blast a grade 1, you can search for a grade 1. But you can also, of course, Soul Blast 2 grade 1s to search for a grade 2. And then you add it to your hand, and then you need to call something. So it's not a plus on hand, but it allows you to search out the card on demand. And if you're gonna call cards to the field anyways, you can utilize this skill to then search out the card and then call those cards you wanted to call. So it's a really good card that allows you to search out for basically any card as long as you can set up your soul. So if you have a grade 3 or you just ride normally and soul blast your grade 1 and grade 2, you can search as Vanguard to have a really strong rearguard unit. And next turn, you can soul blast that Vanguard, which goes to the soul, to search out another Vanguard, and you can keep going and going and going. So that's a really nice engine or just consistency toolbox options you get with only this skill from Fenrir. But it has 2 more interesting skills. His second ability is Auto Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, when your card is put from the soul into the drop zone, cost counterpart 1 and call one of those cards to the rearguard circle. So now you have the ability to get some more pluses on the board. So if, for example, you soul blast the grade 2 for the cost of his first ability to get another unit from the deck into your hand, you can then immediately activate this ability to recall that grade 2 onto the board. That is really nice to have more consistency pressure over turn, as it allows you to keep your board filled with units without needing to dedicate a lot of cards from hand to do that. In some cases, this allows you to also reuse on place effects as long as those units don't need to be placed from hand. A good card that allows you to do that is, of course, Gleipnir. Gleipnir is on place, not on place from hand. So in that situation, you can have more access to your toolbox engine, as without this skill, you can only resolve 4 Gleipnirs in total. Now, with Fenrir being able to soul blast a Gleipnir and then recall it again, you suddenly have more uses out of that skill. And that goes for any on-place effect that you might run in Genesis. Now, that in itself is fine and all, but that's not actually where the full power capability of this skill shines. Because so far, this all is main phase soul blasting. Unless with Gleipnir's on attack skill. Gleipnir on attack allows you to soul blast something to then get 10k power. In combination with Fenrir, you can then recall that soul blasted unit onto the battlefield onto a column which already attacked, which allows you to get 1 extra attack off in a Force Clan, which can be pretty significant. But you don't have to rely on Gleipnir, as you can also rely on Fenrir's third ability, because Fenrir's third ability is Auto Vanguard Circle. When it attacks, costs Soul Blast 1, and this unit gets power plus 10k until the end of turn. So not only will this become a 23k attacker, because you Soul Blast the unit, you can then immediately recall that Soul Blasted unit with Fenrir's second ability to get 1 extra attack off during the battle phase. And now we get to something really interesting, because what we can do is we can use Fenrir's first ability to search out a Vanguard by Soul Blasting our grade 1 and grade 2 right targets, then immediately call it Vanguard to the field. Then we attack with the Vanguard, we use the Vanguard's ability to put itself into the soul to manipulate the top of our deck. Then we attack with the Vanguard, we use Fenrir's on-attack skill to Soul Blast the Vanguard, get 10k power, then use Fenrir's second ability to immediately recall the Vanguard again to the circles, and then we can attack again with the Vanguard to stack the deck for a potential defensive trigger, and basically get everything that we want. And then the Vanguard goes back into the soul, and then what we can do next turn is either use Fenrir's first ability to Soul Blast the Vanguard and search out a new Vanguard to do the whole riddle all over again, or we utilize a Gleipnir and use the Gleipnir's ability to fetch the Vanguard from our soul back into our hand. This is really good in the scenario where we have no Vanguards left in our deck, so we can keep this riddle going for a little bit longer. And these are the interesting plays that you can do with Fenrir, and these are just the things that we can come up with only these 3 particular cards. This is just the start of some insane possibilities for the clan because of what Fenrir allows the clan to do. This card is an amazing toolbox option that opens up so much capabilities with other cards that the clan already has access to, and with the possibility of future cards, as this thing is super generic. So as a boss unit, Fenrir is pretty amazing in my honest opinion. Yes, the card itself doesn't acquire a lot of power and doesn't set up a lot of things. It basically allows you to utilize your cards to its max potential. So as long as our other cards, our rear guards, our supporting units are as strong as we want them to be, then that allows Fenrir to really shine as a boss unit. So hopefully we get some really good support cards besides Vanguard, as Vanguard and Gleipnir are really good cards to have, but we definitely could utilize or use 1 or 2 more cards to really make Fenrir shine as a solid deck, besides what we already have with the whole Astropoet thing. Now, this isn't where we're gonna end the video, because we got 4 more really interesting cards. As Bushroad showcases a brand new promo pack, as well as a promo that's gonna be in a magazine, and all these cards are really strong for the respective deck that all come in VBT 11. So let's go over them one by one and see what I mean. And we're going to start with the one that is the least impactful for its engine, and we end off with the one that's probably the most important card for the deck, because without it, the deck might not even function. So the first one is a Nova Grappler promo, which is this grade 2 Giant Elephant Battle Paean Mask. And its abilities auto rearguard circle once per turn. When your units stand by your card's ability, you may have this unit and one of your Vanguards get power plus 10k until the end of turn. What's nice about this effect is that it doesn't care if it itself is stood by the effect. It just looks at all your cards, and if one of them gets restood by an effect, this skill can activate. And it getting the 10k power is nice and all, but the more important aspect about this card is that it gives our Vanguard the 10k power. The whole thing with Victor is that our rear guards are hitting for pretty good numbers, especially with those sleds that gains a insurmountable amount of power. But the problem is that somewhere around the line where we're attacking with 23, 29, 39, 42, whatever kind of numbers, somewhere in that line, we suddenly have a 12k Vanguard swing. So that really sucks for the power level of our attacks, because we go up, and suddenly somewhere in the line is a really weak Vanguard attack that, yes, it comes with triple drive, but if there's no power behind that triple drive, there's not really a lot of pressure. Now, thanks to a card like Paean Mask, we can at least turn that Victor into a 22k attack, plus the booster behind it. So this could be a really important addition to the deck, maybe at a 1 or 2 of copies, to just at least give Victor that extra bit of pressure behind that Vanguard swing with triple drives. Now, the second promo is an Aqua Force promo, which is Pursuit Assault, and this card is really nice for Tavis and maybe could be used in Revan, but primarily for Tavis, as its ability is continuous or rearguard circle. This unit gets power plus 5k for each of your additional rearguard circles. Note that this ability will also activate during your opponent's turn. So every time you rewrite a Vanguard, this thing will get a 5k extra power buff that stays. And what's really nice with the Tavis engine is because you have the Gear Chronicle Superior Ride, means that during your first grade free turn, it's a 14k unit. But before it goes to your opponent's turn, you rewrite your Tavis and you get one extra circle, turning it into a 19k body, which might be annoying for your opponent to overcome to just easily slam into. So it has some protection against direct attacks. But its main application and main utility lies in its second effect, which is act on Vanguard to rearguard circle. Once per turn, cost soul +1 and rest 2 rearguards and draw a card. This is really good, as not only is it one card that allows you to rest 2 cards, which makes it easier for the condition for Tavis to be fulfilled, but the fact that you draw a card means that you have some more resources available in what's arguably the more important resource in Aqua Force, and that's drawing power. That's cards in hand. And this card can be utilized as early as turn 2 to just use your cards to gain more cards. This is similar to as what economists say, use your money to make more money. This is basically a TCG equivalent of that, use your cards to make more cards, which is probably one of the things that Aqua Force holds most value to. Card advantage. So yeah, a really nice supporting card that could be utilized in your Tavis deck. Now the previous 2 promo cards could be utilized, could fix some issues of the deck, but might not always fit in your personal decks. But the next 2 cards are somewhat integral to the engine to actually make the deck work as good as it should be working to make some kind of impact in today's current meta. And the first one we're going to look at is a grade 2 for Nubatama. As here we have Stealth Dragon Genkan. And before I'm going to discuss the skill, keep in mind that the previous 2 high rarity grade 2s in the set for Nubatama weren't really that great for the Dominate deck. Genkai as well as Furai were nice and all, but definitely not good enough to say they're staples for the deck. This grade 2 is now already a staple as what it can do, because it skills Auto Rearguard Circle when your Mask of Domination token attacks, cost counter +1 and soul +1, search your deck for up to 1 card with the same card name as your Vanguard, put it into your soul, and shuffle your deck. If you put a card, this unit gets power plus 15k until the end of turn. This increases the consistency of your pressure plays or just your generic plays to such a height that it actually becomes a viable strategy that can activate on every single game. Because the whole thing with Shiranui is that you want to have 2 Shiranuis in your soul. With a normal Shiranui, you can at least get 1 Shiranui in your soul the moment that you use the Superior Ride skill into Oboro. So you have 1 Shiranui in your soul. Now the second Shiranui, to get that in the soul, you basically need to have a second copy of the OG Shiranui. So that means you need to have 2 specific grade 3s in your hand. Now, that is not the most consistent thing, but thanks to this card, you no longer have to do that. Because if you also have this card in your hand, then 1 Shiranui is enough. As you go into the Oboro, then mid-battle, you can put another copy of Oboro into the soul and basically activate Oboro's full skill. So it gives Oboro the extra 15k power, which is really nice, but it also allows you to potentially get the drive checks on your dominating tokens, which is probably one of the more important things here, as you want to get those drive checks as fast as possible to up the pressure of all your attacks. Now, you might think that it costs you quite a lot of resources to do this, but it's a counterblast and a soul blast which put a card into the soul. So effectively, it's just for a counterblast, and that counterblast skill not only allows you to get full power of your skills as early as your first grade free turn, but it also gives this unit an extra 15k buff, making it a 24k attacker. And that in itself is already better than the OG Shiranui as a rearguard unit would be, as that would just be a 22k attack that could draw you a card, but you minus a card as well. This card will not minus you a card, so advantage-wise, it's on par as a rearguard unit as Shiranui, but as pure pressure against your opponent, this is even better, as it makes a better magic number against a force grade 3. So as you can see, this is a vital key piece to the Shiranui deck, as there's no reason to not play this card at 4 copies. It just makes your deck work better in all regards. So it annoys me that this card is a promo, but this is not the only one, because not only are Nubatamas kind of shafted here, Great Nature players, and more primarily Isabel players, got really hard shafted with these promos. Because Great Nature got this grade 1, Afflated Lemur. And its ability is Auto Rearguard Circle when placed. If your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, Put the top card of your deck into the drop zone and perform one of the effects below depending on the card's type. Normal unit, soul charge 1, trigger unit, countercharge 1. Yeah, if anybody is aware what Great Nature Isabelle does, or just Great Nature in general, they are in need of resources, and more primarily counter best. And yes, Big Belly got a counter charge, but Big Belly might not even needed that counter charge. It was Isabelle that really needed it. And the way how this skill works as a mill effect, it's perfect for Isabelle, as just placing this card, you not only gain the counter charge, but you also gain soul, which both of the deck is using quite heavily. So having a card like this changes the dynamic of the deck quite significantly, as you can use your more powerful skills just every single time. And it's also, don't forget, this is an unblaze effect which doesn't cost you anything. So you can use Isabelle's Vanguard skill to then reactivate this grade 1 whenever you need to get on-demand resources. Holy shit, this thing is insane. So yeah, these promos are pretty good. And now, with that said, it's quite annoying that we get these cards. You might say, well, what's the problem? You get really good cards. Why are you annoying that you're having really amazing support cards? Well, the fact is, these are promos which might never come to us in the English side. There are so many strong promos that are getting printed, and we never see them here in the English side, even if they're in the same vein as battle packs, which we sometimes get here as well. But there are so many strong promos that we never seen so far. We got the Clara Sword promos. Those two cards are insanely strong. We also got the Tri-Free promos. The Chronojet promo is such a strong card. But I'm honestly not confident that we ever will get that card. I would love to see that grade 1 card, because it makes Chronojet and Next Stage an insanely powerful deck. But who knows if we get that card? And even if we get that card, when would we get that card? Because sometimes we get these cards months and months after they're relevant. And then why would we even get those cards? And there's also the issue that sometimes we do get these important cards. A good example is Twin Order for Dimensional Police. That card is vital for the deck to make it really good. But then you get the issue where these cards become really hard to get, and because they're so important, they become quite expensive. Like Twin Order, I don't know how expensive it is right now, but there was a moment that the thing was like 30 to 40 bucks a pop. And don't even get me started about the Murukuma promo back when Yuga was a thing. That grade 2 was $50. Like, that is ridiculous. So I do not understand what Bushiroad's design plan is to make decks or archetypes that are almost finished, but are definitely needing one specific card, one specific piece to make their engine work, as without that piece, it's basically an incomplete deck, and then decide to make that last card not in the set, but give us as a promo that is really annoying for us. Probably Japan has no issues with these cards, because these promos are very easy to get and are relatively cheap, I assume. But for us international players in the West, we get screwed over by this hard time. So I hope we're gonna see these promos, and I hope we're gonna make them more accessible. But honestly, my hope is not that great. There's a really small chance that we ever would get these promos. But that said, they're really good cards, and they definitely make the deck a lot better. So yeah, let's see if we get them at least within a year. But that concludes this Cardfight update. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of these new Fenrir cards. I'm honestly very excited for this new playstyle. It is very dynamic. It opens up for so many different options within your game plan, what you want to do, which direction you want to take. And I cannot wait to see the rest of the support cards around this Fenrir deck, as I think it can be a really fun deck to play, and potentially a very powerful one. And as well, what is your opinion about these new promos? Do you think they are pretty insane? Do you think they can change the deck quite effectively? And also, how optimistic are you about the fact that we would ever get these cards? And at the same time, how affordable do you think these cards are going to be? So let me know all your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. As always, this video has been brought to you by our lovely patrons over at patreon.com/VanguardInsider. You guys are amazing. If you do want to support the channel or everything that's happening on the channel, you can simply go to patreon.com/VanguardInsider and become a patron today. But with that said, I'm Mr. Time Leap. See you guys in the next one.